Okay, so the purpose of the filtration system is after the compressor compresses the air on the compressor, there's mechanical separators that pull most of the moisture out of the airstream, but we still want to get it to the grade E air, so it meets the NFPA. So this filter is pulling the moisture out of the air. This is the purifier. So this has some more desiccant in it, and then it's also got activated charcoal, and that's going to remove odor. And then it has another chemical in it called hopcolite, which removes carbon monoxide. So it'll process carbon monoxide up to a certain point. If there's too much in the air, it will shut off on a carbon monoxide monitor, which I'll show a little bit later, which samples the air after the filtration. But you've got the dryer, the purifier, and the purifier has what's called the Securus 2 cap, this blue cap. The Securus is a sensor built into the filter, and that sensor monitors the filter life for moisture. So as the filter becomes more saturated, it'll give a warning to the operator back on the screen telling them that the filter is almost saturated. If they ignore that warning and the filter does saturate, then it shuts off the compressor and then it goes into an alarm, and you cannot run the compressor until you replace the filter. And you always replace the filters in pairs. You never replace one at a time. You always replace both the dryer and the purifier. And the basic recommendation on that is on an annual basis, unless you're using the system a lot, in which case then you would monitor the Securus reading on that, and you would change it out when it went into a warning. But your basic system is going to be a dryer and a purifier on these this 20 horsepower system. The smaller chassis, they may have just one filter, so the 10 horsepower units may just have one filter, which is going to be that dryer along with the purification chemicals and the Securus on it. The bigger systems, like the 30 horsepower, they'll have two dryers because you're processing more cubic feet, so you'll have two dryers and then a purifier. If the compressor had been running and we wanted to change the filters out, we would have to bleed the air off here. It's always going to have about 4,000 to 5,000 pounds of pressure in it, even if you've bled off the rest of the system. The filters, because of the check valves and pressure maintaining valves, is always going to have pressure in it, okay? And that's going to be reflected on this gauge. So if this gauge reads pressure, don't try to take the top off. Always bleed that off before removing the filter caps. So one of the things you want to check when you install these is you always want to make sure that they're dated correctly, because you don't want to use an outdated filter. And then the filter themselves, they have the number, so the corresponding number, and then you just use a little bit of O-ring grease on the O-rings there. So just a little bit on, and then on this one here, okay. And then when you slide them in, okay, so this is 58825, 58825, so this is the dryer. So this is all desiccant in here. So this is removing additional moisture. And when you put it down, you want to hear that click, okay? So go ahead and install that one. Okay. And slide it down. You always want to make sure you have clean hands when you do this too, because this is the breathing air. Okay. So then push it down. Click, okay, and then that little handle, it's in there. Yep, you fold that over, okay, and then go ahead and put a little bit of O-ring lube on this O-ring. Yep. So the caps are different. You can screw the filter caps down by hand, but you do need the special filter wrench. And so what I do is go ahead and, after installing the filters, put the cap on. And then I'll run these down until they bottom out. And then one of the tricks I learned years ago to make it easier to remove is once you bottom it down, okay, then I back it up just a hair. Okay, so tighten it down and then just back it up just a hair. Makes it easier for the next operator when or technician when they want to remove that. Okay, and you have to use this special tool. If you try to use just a regular wrench, you'll end up ruining that connection. So the filters have a couple of features. One is that there's a vent hole on the bottom that if the filter is not installed correctly, it will blow air out the bottom. won't let you process the air into the storage. And that's a built-in feature to the Bauer. That's why you need to make sure to click that filter in, because that closes that safety feature. And you can't run the system without filters in it. So again, that's to protect the operator from putting bad air into the storage. The secure cap goes on and quarter turns on. If that sensor's not on, the compressor won't run.